Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's MeetingsNet Fast Chat for a discussion of a key topic in today's meeting environment, building an Agile event program. I'm Sue Hatch, Content Director for MeetingsNet, and joining me are two thought leaders from meeting technology company Cvent, Patrick Smith, Senior Vice President and CMO, and Rachel Andrews, Senior Director of Meetings and Events. Welcome, Patrick and Rachel. Let's jump in. Event organizers are now operating in an entirely new landscape, facing new questions, concerns, and opportunities. What are you seeing that makes you believe an Agile event program is so important?
Thanks, Sue. And it's great to be here with everyone. I'm actually in our studio here at headquarters, and we're broadcasting through our Cvent studio solution. So a lot of things going on here that are really, I think, indicative of the new world of meetings and events that we're in. So let's talk about that now. So during the early days of the pandemic, event programs shifted to fully virtual. And while that was a shock for many, events became more digitized when that happens. And they delivered deeper insight into attendee engagement because a digital event means you can track interactions online. So organizations learned how to run engaging virtual events, and they also reached larger audiences because no one had to travel. As in-person events return, however, and they are returning with a vengeance, which is great, the world is not just going to go right back to in-person and forget what we did before. Teams want the depth of engagement of in-person with the breadth of engagement of virtual. And they're designing and rethinking their total event program with this in mind. And what we mean by total event program is a combination of internal, external events that are hosted and events that are attended and sponsored. And everyone's making sure to apply the right format to meet their goals. So with more event formats at their disposal, with in-person, virtual, and hybrid, organizations have the opportunity to drive more value from their events than ever before if they're agile. And agility is really important because continued marketplace uncertainty will demand agility. We have increased uncertainty everywhere we look. We have a potential recession looming on the heels of a pandemic. The industry's been through a lot, and take it from me, a team that runs about 1,000 events a year, our teams are exhausted in many ways. And we're just getting our in-person rhythm back. At the same time, we have often to go into cost management or savings mode across our organizations. And we may need to react to new pandemic variants. So with so much uncertainty, it has become even more important that organizations have a clear understanding of all the events that are happening in their portfolio in order to gain complete control and a clear picture of what's happening now and what lies ahead. So having one platform like Cvent to manage all of our events gives you the flexibility and the ability to adapt and adjust as needed. And here's an example. Let's say you have an in-person roadshow across the United States, and suddenly a new variant arises. What if you have one point solution for in-person events running that roadshow and another for virtual with two different registration systems? Well, you'd probably have to cancel the roadshow if the variant really takes off. But if you're on one system, you can easily pivot that in-person roadshow, those people that have registered for that, to a virtual event. So it can happen where you can engage your attendees and you can still drive leads if you have the flexibility to quickly pivot. So being agile means you're flexible, and that's what you get when you have one platform. And also an emerging trend in the industry that we find very interesting is organizations want to create a community around their events. So one platform helps you engage with your colleagues if you're doing an internal event or your external audience year round. And we're calling this kind of year-round engagement. And it's getting people together before events ever happen to talk along the way. And also after the event to carry on the conversation. And when you do this, you get more goodness from your event program. And if you do this right, it makes all the hard work you're spending on your events and your event program even more valuable.
So, what actions can event organizers take to build in more flexibility and the ability to pivot their roles and their program? So, how can they be rethinking their old processes?
Yeah, so I'll take this one. I think, we as event organizers or event producers have shown a lot of flexibility in the last 2 years. Resilience is maybe another word I would use for that. But first, what we dug into is what our total events program looked like, and redefined it, because all of these different formats that we were being thrown at we needed a clear process and a clear agile process. So, ultimately, when we reevaluated our total events program, or TEP, like we like to call it internally here, as Patrick mentioned, we had to make sure that our events were still delivering our clear goals that we had before in our old processes, but while adapting to these new formats. So, at its core, events are ultimately a channel that we use. And within that channel, you have your tactics and you have your sub tactics, and those each have clear goals and different formats. So underneath sub tactics, we've then defined things like format, in-person, virtual, hybrid, webinars, things like that. And then it goes kind of a layer deeper of the different types, the audiences, the spend, et cetera. So when we redefined, we really dug deep to look at how we're delivering our new model to be more agile. So things like event types, what types of events are underneath internal events versus external events, digging into those support models, then digging deeper into event tiers. What is the level of effort being put into this? What is the time and the money being sent and what being spent on the events? And then what are you actually trying to get out of it? All define what the tier really means. And then event support. This really just means what teams are involved in supporting it. It could be a small event, it could be a large event where you need a lot more support. And then event services would be the last kind of mode that we looked at within how we redefined our model. So basically what that means in a short sense is how we run the programs and how the different service models can be varied based off of the different types and tiers, just to remain agile within those different types and formats. I think for us, all these things kind of had to be broken first and then rebuilt into our new model. But ultimately, that's helping us with a clear vision for the future because we have a little bit more structure while remaining agile. I think also a key part of this is on the roles and responsibilities within an events program and an events team. I think answering your question on the roles, we've kind of had to rebuild our internal team supporting events. The old structure of just having event planners as a bucket or event marketers as a bucket job function, we kind of had to rebuild into our new landscape. So we looked at our own personal skills, learning the new ones from learning different formats, and then diversifying our team a little bit. So ultimately, also, we wanted to redefine the role and the titles of our event professionals. Like we are bringing so much value to the business. So at our core, we're business owners and we're revenue drivers and we're impact owners of this channel. This channel, as you can see, is huge. We're doing a lot underneath one channel, but it is driving a lot of business. So our newly defined roles came with things like data insight experts, event technologists or MarTech experts that we work with, event designer roles, event marketers and event producers. All of these things kind of factored into our new agile model, and we needed to bake that into our new format. So to support the new total events program, we kind of went into this new pillar function of 3 pillars, ultimately having an event marketing and data insights pillar, really focusing on demand generation for our events, getting people to come, looking at our data across our events program, as one core function, and sales enablement, right? Helping our sales team follow up from events and helping sales team get people to come to our events. So that's one in the event marketing pillar. The second would be event design pillar. And these folks are more than just people putting tablecloths on tables. They're people that are digging deep into what the event experience is, the event agenda, budget goals, revenue goals, sponsorships, really crafting the entire experience so that your attendees have the best time. And then the third one for us is event tech and operations. These folks really help drive what we're doing at Cvent with our event tech or MarTech and integrating that into our total events program. So whether it's building playbooks or building templates within our Cvent technology, that's really wrapping all up into those 3 pillars of how we're supporting this agile market.
Very good. Well, how does Cvent technology help with all that?
So I'll start. Cvent is built to help organizations manage any and every event. So really, you can start anywhere with Cvent and grow everywhere across your event program. So we're also one platform to power the total event program that we've been talking about, which, just as a quick review, is your internal and external events, the events you host yourself, and the events you sponsor and just attend. So we power, in addition to all those event types, if you want to talk about it this way, we power in-person events, virtual events, and hybrid events where you want the best of both worlds, and also webinars, because they're an increasingly important part of the event program in general. So at Cvent, we're built to capture engagement and to collect unique engagement actions. And that gives you one view into attendee and account data. And an engagement action could be taking a survey, taking a poll, asking a question, being part of a chat session, downloading content. All these things can be tracked if you have the right technology like Cvent. So it's not just one event that we're gathering all this data for. It's gathering data across all events. So you know where and how a particular company you're targeting is interacting with your events. You know what person attended your in-person roadshow that you should invite to your next webinar. And then that same person that you should set up an appointment with at your next big trade show. When you can look not just at one event, but across all events, you can put that entire picture together.
Yeah, I'll add to that too, Patrick. For us, being an event planner at Cvent, we are using Cvent's full platform. And so, many people know Cvent, as part of an event lifecycle powering certain events. But I think when you use a platform like Patrick mentioned before, it helps you kind of get one true system of record for your total events program. It also gives you these insights into your events program engagement across all the different types of events that you do, and quickly helps you kind of take action based off of that engagement data or post-event data. For us, the beauty of the platform for me is that it's for our entire program. And, for me, when I'm going in and looking at our roadmaps or even our event calendar, all of that's in Cvent in that one system of record, no matter how small the happy hour or how big our annual user conference is. It's aggregating all of that data into one system and helping me capture and track that data across our TEP, our total events program, and in one system of record. So, I think that starts ultimately through our meeting request form and how we track our roadmaps within Cvent. That also feeds into the budgeting tool and reporting across our events, what we're spending on events. This includes sourcing, where we're going into the Cvent supplier network and sourcing vendors through our supplier network and marketplace, then helping us find different vendors or venues to do our programs, and being able to report on who we've used and how often we've used them, and et cetera. So that also feeds into our one system of record. And then things like I mentioned, engagement across our events formats. We can look into how our virtual events have performed, our hybrid events have performed in person, even using virtual platforms like we're using now. Like Patrick mentioned, we're using Cvent Studio right now, which we use for a lot of our webinar programs to create an engaging experience and then deliver data based off of the performance of those. And I think the most important thing for me, obviously everything's important before this, but is post-event, looking at the event success through feedback, reporting, data, engagement stats, lead capture, getting those leads to your sales team faster through technology. All of that stuff feeds into the business elements that we're driving towards, for our company. So, I think, Patrick has more to add here, but with all these Cvent tools that we're using internally to drive our total events program, helps us manage that, and market it, right? We're marketing the heck out of our events through Cvent. So it's all very meta, right, Patrick? I know we work very closely with the integrations team, which Patrick can talk about.
Yeah, I think, Rachel, you hit on a lot of great stuff. I think the most important thing is events are not just some little tactic that organizations do that's offline managed by a different group over here. It's all about how the event technology plays within a larger tech framework. So integrations are extremely important. We integrate with hundreds of CRM and marketing automation systems, but we also integrate with travel systems, where people are coming from and when. Corporate cards, expense systems, things like this for spend analysis and reporting. So for everyone in the events industry, we're entering this world where you have virtual, in-person, and hybrid, and better webinars all at your disposal. You can build that right program that looks at all the different things that you want to do across your program and the goals you have and where to use the right event format and type where, and manage it all in one system and get all that great data. So you don't have to do all this at once. You can start anywhere and grow everywhere. And Cvent is really your one-stop shop for doing that. So we have a lot more to say. We pride ourselves at Cvent as being at the center of the events conversation, and we have a ton of resources for you. So we do a lot of webinars. We have a lot of great resources, dummies, books, things like that. So please come visit us on cvent.com and interact with our resources, ask us questions, and we'd be glad to carry on the conversation after today. So thank you very much for attending.
Patrick, Rachel, thank you so much for joining this Fast Chat. It's been a lot of great info, and I appreciate your insights in creating an Agile event program. Thank you so much.